that I had a purpose, that I had a mission.
And then in my late 20s, when I met my partner, that's when things really started to come together.
Abracadabra or something, and then Shazam. But I didn't know that it had a grounding in the kind of work that you do. So yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sphere of Success, the podcast that looks at challenge and adversity in business and how we alchemize that into productivity, resilience, awareness, and how we can take anxiety, depression, and stress and actually move these things into something which is really powerful. And that leads me on very nicely to today's guest. This is Sarah Truman, and I'm going to read her bio because this lady is really fabulous. So, Sarah is a spiritualist, writer, and researcher whose work explores the profound connection between past life experiences and present day healing. Through her platform, Mystic Curtain, she blends historical research with psychic insight to uncover the hidden threads that shape our emotional and energetic well-being. With a deep understanding of how unresolved past experiences can manifest as stress and anxiety in our current lives, Sarah offers a unique perspective on achieving harmony in both business and in our personal lives. In this episode, she shares how tapping into our deeper consciousness can unlock resilience, clarity, and inner peace. So today we're going to be talking about how we can alchemize stress and anxiety and be in harmony in our business lives. So welcome, Sarah. It's wonderful to have you on the show. Can you hear me okay, Sarah?
I
You're
can hear you.
Oh, lovely. Excellent. Good stuff. So I'd love for you to let us know, how did you get started in what the work that you do? Because it's not so mainstream and it's something I think that would be really interesting for us to listen and watch when you talk about what it is that you do and how you got into it.
Well, it's quite a long story, actually. I first got into doing angelic Reiki and crystal healing. It was all stemmed from my partner and the research that we did into our past lives. Um, there was so much that we found out about it, and well, basically, one thing led to another. The more we delved into our past lives, the more we discovered what we were to one another and how karma affects us. And I think it affects most people. Everybody, in fact, I think is affected by karma in one way or another. And we certainly learned this. The more my psychic abilities developed, the closer I moved to my spirit guides. And that's when things really started hotting up. Um, yeah, we did, it did cause a bit of, well, caused a lot of trouble with someone from a spirit from the past life that came into our lives and started causing trouble for us. Um, we found that the best way to stop this was well, we had to have direction from our guides, and I had to literally go through a program so I could rise above the negativity that he was putting out to us. And in so doing this, I was able to banish him from tormenting us, basically. It took a good 3 years, but yes, it was a baptism of fire. Um, Time moved on, and yeah, my partner sadly passed away. And this is when I had to move away from where we were living and had to relocate to where I originated from. And it was at this time that I went into holistic therapies and started learning about angelic. Well, it was Reiki to begin with, about grounding yourself and at putting the light through yourself to take away any negativity. And there was a lot of negativity around me at the time that I had to overcome with my partner passing, because that's what happened. And I found that I was able to heal myself emotionally and mentally, yeah, with this modality of healing. Later, I went into doing angelic Reiki, and that's something again quite different. It was a few years later when my guide brought an earthbound spirit to me, and I found that praying for her, because it was a girl, she committed suicide through drug addiction years ago and been knocking around the earth plane for years. I found that she linked with me because of all the trauma I've been through. Basically, that's what it was. She was a benign entity. She wasn't malevolent. And I found that praying for her, just praying for her, and I found this profound thing happen. I said, if I pray for you, she says, yes, please, sort of, yes, please. And on so doing, I saw this purple light come down. I could visualize this purple light, and all these negative entities that were around her was sneering. I could see them all sneering, as much to say, yeah, you're not going to go into the light. And I just prayed to the angels to take her in there, and I felt the girl's energy leave me. I just felt her depart from my being because she was an attachment. And she, it was amazing. I could feel her just go. And then, oh, about 10 minutes later, I had this come through my head. Blessed are the merciful. And this was straight out of the Beatitudes in the Bible. Blessed are the merciful. And I'm not a biblical, I'm not a Bible studying as such. And there it just came through. It was just, and I thought, crikey, this is my direction. From there on, I knew that working with angels was my direction. And so I went off and got some angelic attunements, angelic Reiki attunements. I found that we're skipping a bit now. But yes, I've been able to help people, especially over distance, I find, in traumatic circumstances who are like on the brink of suicide. I can find I can just go straight in and it calmed them right down, I've found. And this is some profound aspects of my healing career.
Wow, what a profound gift that you have. Had you always experienced things that perhaps were otherworldly, or that perhaps people would think of as being paranormal? Have you always been open to that as a person, or is this something that kind of happened? Because you were talking about how you and your late partner, your husband, I think you said your husband, excuse me if it was your partner, but when you were both going into your past lives. And for some people listening who are quite new to this, they might think, what are they talking about? So was this something that you'd always had an affinity with, or was that something that you took up from scratch?
From being a child, I'd always like had snippets of things. I won't say that I had past life recall like some kids do, Certainly, I had snippets here and there that didn't mean anything, but they just sort of like collected in my subconscious, put in the back shelf until time rolled by. Then I moved on into my teens and I started having weird dreams in around about 16, 17 years of age. I've been under psychic attack, to be honest with you. And it's one of those things you just put on the shelf. You think, move on. It didn't mean much. And so it carried on through my 20s, here and there. I'd get these like snippets of things that I was, oh, there was spirit there that was trying to contact me, but I didn't really take too much notice, I suppose I could say that. And then in my late 20s, when I met my partner, that's when things really started to come together. They started to, because he got mediumship ability, and that was more than mine at the time. And yeah, that's when things really started to, and it all started to crystallize. Everything that he experienced in his dreams matched what I'd experienced over all those years. If you can follow what I'm saying, it's all like saying, yeah, this isn't just some geezer saying this happened and that happened in the previous life. And can see how things came together over all the time I'd been alive, really. All those little insights that I just filed up here. And that was how my that's how my affinity with the other world came to start. It was it was all latent, it was all there when it all came fired off when I met my partner. It was
Mm.
like I don't know if you heard of Shazam, that where there's two indentures come together. Perhaps
Oh, I
not.
didn't know. I've heard the word Shazam. I think I've heard the word Shazam in a kind of like in a magic show, kind of abracadabra or something, and then Shazam. But I didn't know that it had a grounding in the kind of work that you do. So yeah, please do explain that.
Well, it was something that I used to watch when I was a kid. Actually, it was a cartoon called Shazam. It was about this young Arab boy, and he got these indentured rings, and he had to meet with somebody where he could join the indenture with, and it was called Shazam, and that's what it was when I met my partner, basically.
Oh,
Mm.
wonderful. Yeah, two souls clicking in. That's
That's it. Two souls
wonderful.
clicking in that were meant to come together, and I firmly believe that. And there was so much that we discovered, but unfortunately, yeah, he died.
Yeah. Good
Mm.
things happen and bad things happen and everything in between happens, doesn't it? And it's how we can then move on, etc. And that must have been very, very tough knowing that your soulmate needed to be elsewhere, as it were, and not on the earthly plane in that physical form anymore.
It was tough. If I hadn't have been able to been in touch with him psychically, it would have been almost impossible,
Mm,
to be honest with you. But I was able to communicate with him, and he was able to give me the support that I needed. He
mm.
was with me, even though, well, it was ironic, he was in spirit himself by that time, and it was surreal and it was heartbreaking, and it was just, but yeah, I was able to keep in touch with him, and he was there to support me.
Mm.
He was there to support me on, well, virtually everything,
Oh, that's
from moving
beautiful.
house and everything, dealing with his horrible family. Yeah, anyway, there we go.
Well, life is life. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with all sorts of things that you've said there. And then thinking about the fact that you help people at their darkest moments, and this is where in anxiety and stress, especially when people become suicidal, it's where they want to leave rather than be here anymore. And I'd got to that point. I'm open with it because if anybody's listening and thinking that sometimes people that you see and you think people have got it all together, a few years ago, that was it. I was going to check out of this world. And I had something, and I'm very open with this, that I call divine intervention, that I believe that God spoke to.
Yeah, I
And
believe in that.
yeah, and I don't know where it came from because I wasn't really religious or spiritual in that regard, but I do know it was God. And I've been grateful and thankful, and my life has changed ever since that moment for the better, which is amazing. If somebody is going through their darkest moment and they just feel that there is no way out, how do you help people to maybe transcend from that, even if it looks for them that that's impossible? Because it's very interesting what you say that you can do this remotely.
Well, it's my spiritual connection I have with angels, which I most certainly have, and lately also, well, not lately, for a long time, also with Christ, the Christ light, Jesus. I yeah, I am what they call, yeah, I'm a Christian. All right, I'll say it, but not yet Orthodox Christian, if that makes sense. I do believe in Jesus, and I do believe that if you ask him into your life, he will help you. And he certainly helped me and through the angels. I can't really
Mm.
I can't really get make it better than that. He's supreme. I
Would
would
you
say,
say, sorry to interrupt you, but would you say that sometimes if we can look outside of ourselves to that higher power, as it were, for people out there listening, it's helped both me, it sounds like it's helped you, and I know a number of other
mm,
people that have been transformed from addiction, from real bad anxiety, etc., of actually recognizing that there is a higher power or God of their
mm.
understanding. What is it about that, do you think, that looking outside of ourselves into that higher power that is able to set things right, whereas before we perhaps struggled if we were trying to ourselves?
You get given signs. That's my experience. You ask for divine power to help you, and wholeheartedly, and you get given a sign either sooner or later, if not straight away. If yeah, and something will come your way, or somebody will come your way that will help you through whatever you're going through. You can get it just by channeling. Not, I was going to say channeling into. Okay, people don't understand what channeling is, but just by concentrating on the divine, meditating on the divine. That's a good word. Going through the breath work and the intent and meditating on positive energies and asking for help from the Creator. I would recommend that for anybody that's going through a rough time and really mean it. And I mean, really mean it. And you'll get help because I certainly have.
And you know what that sounds like a bit to me is that there's a part, and I'm not particularly well versed in where bits in the Bible are. So forgive me for anybody that's thinking, oh, it's chapter whatever and verse whatever, because I'm not really in that way. I think of God as my higher power, more of an energetic source. But again, I follow Christian principles and values, and I do believe in the Christos, the Christ energy. Um, but there's a thing that says when you pray, and you might want to change the word to meditate. When you
Yeah,
pray
yeah, okay.
fervently, believing as if it had already been done,
Hmm.
it
I
it
know where you're coming from.
it happens, but it might not happen in a way that
Manifesting it.
that's it. Yes, it happens in a way, but we might not. I realized sometimes when things had happened that I had deeply prayed for, meditated for, asked for, etc. And then I've realized and I've looked back and I went, oh my goodness, that came into my life and I hadn't even picked it up. And that helped me fulfill what I did. And it was almost like being in a dreamlike state in a way that I've gone
Mhm.
back and I've thought that was the moment that I was helped. But I actually, weirdly enough, didn't see it at the time. If that makes any sense to you, I don't know if anybody watching,
Yeah,
listening makes sense to it, but sometimes things happen and we don't even realize that that was the answer to our prayers, our meditation, our pleas for assistance.
the best I can say it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so if somebody is going through an anxious time, a stressful time at work,
It's
and
just have faith. That's another word.
faith.
Faith moves mountains, and it's true. If you believe that you're going to be helped, if you believe that there's something out there, something will come to you. You've just got to have the faith and the positive outlook. That was one thing I had to learn to overcome the evil spirit was to be positive. Part of it was to keep positive in adversity. And that's what you got to be. I learned that. Be tolerant, patient, listen to people, and be positive. And yeah, to interact with community, to show goodwill in community, and you've got to put it out into the community what you've been learning. That was something else that I had to do, and I did.
And would that be that this is the people that you help within your healing practices? Is that how what you mean by the community?
Yeah, well, I used to do lots of things, but yeah, that's part of it. I used to do lots of volunteer work with group mental health groups. I used to do arts and crafts, things like that. Give people a positive focus with their depression and other mental health troubles. And that was before that I started doing the healing as such. But it was when my partner died and I moved away that I really went into healing big time.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah, keep a positive focus and believe that God is there to help you.
You've
Once you start,
mentioned, yeah, you go ahead.
mm,
You've mentioned something there for community. I'd like your take on this for people who are feeling anxious and stressed. In that when we do things in the service of others, our focus goes from looking inward to actually seeing how we can be of service to others
outward.
and help
And
others.
once you are, the focus, what's with you will come out, I find. When you start being focused on helping other people and you can see them being helped, it does something for you as well. Yeah. To be outward rather than inward. Because a lot of people that are depressive or suicidal, they go in on themselves, and that's a lot of the trouble, quite a lot of the trouble, because they start to go in ever decreasing circles. You've got to break that flow. You've got to move out of it.
And for somebody in that cycle, because I tell you what, I have been there. I know what this is like. It's not me preaching from a high perch where I go, yeah, go ahead and do it. I've been in that. I was going to, as I say, take my own life. And it was like everything was imploding inside of me. And it took that divine intervention
Yeah,
to be able to flip that around
flip it
completely
over. Yeah,
and to show me a way which was a complete or polar opposite of where I had been and to say that I had a purpose, I had a mission. And it was understanding that I was a valuable individual to have a purpose and a mission in the first place that brought me out of this intense
Um,
inner
it-
inner cycle of, just as you say, spiraling downwards.
Self-destruction. Yeah.
That's
Don't let the bastards
interesting.
grind you down. That's the old adage, isn't it? But it's right though. That's you got these negative entities coming in and trying to tell you, go on, you're no good and all the rest of it. But you just don't take any notice of them. There's always something, especially if you lean on the power of the creator to help you. They'll give you strength. That's my advice to people. I don't know. It is. We've got to be more Godward looking in this day and age because I think things are coming to, I've said this before, I think things are coming to the crunch where the people believe that these like apocalypse and all that. But to me, I can see it all round. I can see things escalating to a point where society is being ground down. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And we've got to really lean on the power of the Creator to come to us and support us and guide us through this. And we've got to really be there. It's so, this is my advice to people. Um,
Well, do you know, I mean, and that is really, really profound because I think people are sensing these times as almost, and I'm not fear-mongering because that's not my way, but like there's going to be a shift. It's coming to the crisis point, you know.
it is coming to the crisis point.
And it's been coming for a while, but I think it's
It has,
palpable now. It's palpable around the world that people know there's a change. There's going to be this massive change. They're feeling it and going around and seeing what's happening and the devastation around the world. And I'm not saying there's not
devastation.
amazingly good things happening in the world as well, because I believe that people like yourself, Sarah, are out there doing their work of beautiful, beautiful work. So there's not all doom and gloom by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that in the majority of cases, people kind of get this sixth sense in a way that actually there's a change afoot.
Becoming more, it's becoming more with people. And it was meant to be. I believe
Yes,
so. It's said
yes.
in the Bible, I'll pour out my spirit on all flesh. And this is what's happening. People are becoming more aware of the spiritual aspects of life. There's a move towards that. I can see it everywhere. And you, as an individual, have got to make a decision which way you're going. Whose side are you on? That's heavy. But it's right. Are you going to be on the light or are you going to be with the dark? It
And it is as binary as that because,
is.
you know, coming from the other side, coming from the dark into the light, seeing the beauty of the world. I believe that I walk every day with heaven on earth. I'm just so grateful for this. And it's not to say that things have necessarily paradigm shift, but my perception and my view of the world and who I am and who we all are, because we're all miracles. If anybody's thinking, I'm not much, I'd be better not being here, or nobody would remember or forget, they'd all forget me. To be a human being in this universe is like hitting multitude of lotteries. I mean, it's just the jackpot of jackpots. And to be a human being in itself is a miracle. So we're all miracles. This is the thing. You're a miracle, Sarah. I'm a miracle. The people who are listening and watching, we're all miracles. And so once we understand that we're miracles, it's just making sure that we tap into that and we recognize ourselves as such. And so that self-destructive element, the bad energy, the dark energy, cannot live with that knowledge. It has to leave us. Because once we
Yeah,
claim our right and our knowledge to say, yes, I'm a miracle, it hasn't got anywhere to inhabit in us. It has to go. And sometimes a pathway, I think, for people is more gradual. Mine was in a heartbeat. It literally went like that, and I flipped. And it was quite discombobulating because it was like, whoa, good grief, this is a bit unusual.
it's a good word. Discombobulate.
Discombobulating. Yeah. It was kind of almost so pleasurable. It was a bit painful, actually, in the sense that it's like, oh, I don't think I can take any more joy. This is bliss on steroids. But the reason why I say that is because I was so in darkness, the light switch turning on was just like, whoa, I've got to get used to this really beautiful light because I wasn't used to it. I'd lived way up into my 50s in the darkness. And that's a long time to be in the darkness. And so when it changed in an instant, that was a big thing. But what I can only speak from experience, and it sounds like, Sarah, from your perspective, the anxiety, the stress,
It
it
was
fell
stress.
away because I
Oh
knew
yeah.
that we're all miracles. And it was just like, okay, okay, this is okay, this is good. And at that moment, my heart opened. It literally flung open. It was like, boom. And it can't close now because it's open, and that's fine because it's such a great energy. It's a very protective energy, so I'm never concerned that anything or an entity or another person's going to come in and mess with that because it's a very strong, powerful force. And I think if we can open our hearts, take that step to understand that when we do that, it leaves us with the most incredible things that we can do. The anxiety and the stress can't live in that environment. It's starved of what it needs to grow and to flourish. And so when you're doing your Reiki healing, your angelic Reiki healing,
Angelic Reiki, yeah.
yeah, with the angels, how does that from Reiki to angelic Reiki healing? What is it that the angels are doing to make that even more powerful?
Something about angelic power. It's just it is very powerful. I noticed the difference between Yasui Reiki and angelic Reiki. Anybody does when they get that vibe going through them. And that, the comment on how powerful it is. I don't know if I can describe it. It sends them off to sleep, some of them. I've had varying things said, but mostly saying that's so powerful. Um, I, they feel it. Oddly enough, I don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because what they feel is, as a patient, what they feel is more important. They feel the energy going through them, and they either feel very relaxed or energized or both, or away with the fairies. I've seen various things happen, and I have to ground them. I have to spend a while grounding them so that when they go away, they are not floating. Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful work that you do, Sarah. So if anybody is listening and they think, you know what, this makes some sense that we're feeling anxious, we're feeling stressed, we're feeling depressed, we know we're not right. How would people be able to get in touch with you? Because you do this, you can do this remotely, can't you, as well as
I
on
can.
a
Yeah, I can
face
do it
basis?
in person, hands-on as they call it, or I can do it remotely over distance. So it's not important. It's not necessary for me to be with you in person for you to really benefit. It's your preference. But if you are a long way away from me, by all means still get in touch because you'll benefit just the same if you're open to it. And I'll make sure that you are because I prep the relax you and everything before I start and put you through a meditation so you're more receptive to receiving the energies. And then I do whatever session length of session we've agreed upon. And people, generally speaking, feel very calm and relaxed after the session's finished, and that's even on a remote basis.
And so, how can people be in touch?
Oh, I've got a profile that I've shared on the therapy directory, so you can find me under Reiki, Staffordshire Reiki in the therapy directory. Sarah Truman, Staffordshire therapy directory. Yeah, and you can find me on there.
That's brilliant. And we'll get all the details as well on the show notes. So don't worry if you didn't get that. But it's Sarah Truman. That's Truman. And it's the therapy directory. And what did you say? It was Staffordshire,
I, yeah, that's the area that I come under. I live in Lichfield, but it would come under Staffordshire.
Staffordshire
Yeah,
Reiki, did you say?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, Sarah Truman, Staffordshire Reiki, and it's the therapy. What was it again?
Directory.
The
The therapy
therapy
directory.
directory. Do go on there and look Sarah up because you know what, Sarah's experienced so much. It's not like she's somebody that's, taken a course and is now trying to make
No,
money
it's
out of
all
people.
it's
Her
all personal experience for me.
absolutely. Sarah's commitment and purpose is so deep that that comes through, I'm sure, in her healing modalities as well. So, you're getting somebody with vast experience of life as well as knowing what she's doing with her angelic Reiki healing. And you're in safe hands because the other thing is, I know people are rightly concerned about dealing with people on this level because you open yourself up and you want to make sure that it's
I always make sure the
thing.
place is sanctified before I do anything to do with energy healing. I sanctify and cleanse the place an hour before I even start.
Mm, yeah, because it's all energy. This is the thing, isn't it? We're all made up of energy, and we've
Yeah.
got angelic energy, we've got divine energy, but also we've got the bad energy because you can't
Mm,
have life without one or the other. You've got to have both of them. And so we need to make sure that everything is done so that the good things come in and anything that you're holding that's not so great can be released. And so that
yeah.
it can go and it can be shared. And, I think with your therapies, if people, not just once, but if they come a few times, then you can cleanse on an ongoing basis. Because I think it's like all these things, we can get clogged up with
Mm.
different types of energy without us sometimes even realizing it.
All types of Reiki is about chakra balancing, clearing chakras, um, clearing the aura of unwanted emotional stuff. Well, could be past life stuff even. It's holistic healing, it's not just physical healing. Emotional, spiritual, and physical, it all works together. When you clear somebody's aura and you clear their chakras, balance the chakras. And this might take a few times to do it, to be honest, for some people. But yeah, that's what the energy healing work is about. It's what any energy healer is about, and me included.
Oh, well, it's wonderful, Sarah. Thank you so much for giving us such a wonderful backstory about yourself. Thank you for sharing that painful part of your life with your partner passing away. Do appreciate you sharing your vulnerability here. And just goes to show to people your life, has suffered in intense ways as well, because I know you've suffered from the entity that came to persecute you and your partner.
Yes.
And sometimes people who are in this space can be seen as targets for things that want to pull them down. So I think that
Mm,
you walk a very strong path in actually making sure that you're standing up and not letting those other energies get to you and push you off your course. So congratulations for that, because
thank you.
yeah,
Yes.
it's not easy.
It's not easy, but with, as I said before, with the help of the divine, if there are times of weakness, which we all get, or self-doubt or anything, just call on the light of the divine in prayer or meditation.
Oh, that's a wonderful place to end. And thank you, Sarah. And thank you for all of the people watching and listening today. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And I would say, please do like, comment, and subscribe and share the episode as well, because there could be somebody as well who would really value listening to what Sarah has to say in the discussion that we've had today. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you. Be successful, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye bye now.
Bye then.